Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Vance.
I welcome you to that wonderful playing by Vance Gardiner. So we welcome you to our Father's Day service this morning, and knowing that it's going to be a wonderful, awesome experience for everyone involved. So I'm going to ask you to just join me in this opening affirmative prayer. So we just recognize the living Spirit Almighty, expressing as each and every one in this sanctuary. Indeed, it expresses as all that is. And on this beautiful, glorious day, we give thanks for this service this morning. And we know that our speaker this morning, Rev John Scott, as always, allows himself to be a clear and open channel for the expression of this one. So we know that everyone who participates this morning is blessed, and everyone's consciousness expand into that greater awareness of who we are and why we are here. So this morning, we just allow this perfect expression of spirit to manifest in its perfect, glorious way this morning. And I release these words, giving thanks that all this is so, and so it is. Our inspirational reading this morning is from today's daily word, and it's titled, Father's Blessing. I bless all fathers with thoughts of gratitude. I am grateful for fathers, grandfathers, stepfathers, and all father figures who care for children and families. I pray they are all called always to follow their guidance and to act to express divine love. I envision their hearts and minds opening to receive blessings of strength, patience, and tenderness. I see them supported in all they are called upon to do and comforted during times of struggle. I pray also for children, young and old, as they remember their fathers. May cherished memories bring smiles and warmth, and may the love remain alive forever in hearts and minds. And for all those on a healing or forgiveness journey, I pray that divine love leads and comforts them on a path towards lasting peace. May the peace and love of God fill their hearts today and every day. And I'm going to ask you just to affirm with me today's affirmation, and you can just say it to any fathers nearby you. And as we are all fathers of our thoughts, you can just say to anyone nearby, the Lord bless thee and keep thee. So let's repeat after me. The Lord bless thee and keep thee. The Lord make his face shine upon thee and be gracious unto thee. The Lord lift up his countenance upon thee and give thee peace. And so it is. We are now going to do our chant written by practitioner Steve Golden. It's titled Within. So
His Spirit expressed, I find it sweet enough and
And as you bring your awareness back first into your body, and then just to where you are, we're going to do an affirmation of divine love. So you can just, it's on page 2 in your program. So you can just repeat along with me. Divine love is doing its perfect work here and now. Divine love harmonizes. Divine love adjusts. Divine love prospers. Divine love foresees everything and richly provides every good thing for this church now. Divine love is now victorious, and so it is. So I'm just going to ask you to stand as we do our praise song. If you are happy and you know it.
happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, then your life will surely show it. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, stamp your feet. If you're happy and you know it, stamp your feet. If you're happy and you know it, then your life will surely show it. If you're happy and you know it, stamp your feet. If you're happy and you know it, say amen. Amen. If you're happy and you know it, say amen. Amen. If you're happy and you know it, your life will surely show it. If you're happy and you know it, say amen. Amen.
And as you remain standing, I want you to repeat with me the prayer of our center. The Temple of Light Center for Spiritual Living is a sacred field embodying our spiritual community from which the Christ, peace, love, and joy emanate to touch, to heal, to bless, and to prosper. Liberate anyone who comes into contact with it in any way. The light of the Christ illumines us, our center, and our environment. Our spiritual community is filled with and surrounded by the presence of God and is growing from strength to strength. The power of God expands our consciousness of truth, guiding us ceaselessly along the paths of wisdom, spiritual growth, unfoldment, and attainment. We are blessed, and to God be the honor and glory forever. And so it is. You may be seated. And I'm now going to light the candle for the youth. I light this candle for the youth of the world. Let us behold the Christ in them. And let us say the blessing of the children. We love you. We appreciate you. We salute the Christ in you. And we see you as shining lights unto your world. God is blessing you now. And so it is. So I'm going to ask you to join us in the temple mission song.
Temple of light, the temple of light, the temple of light. We are a people with a vision, one with spirit on a mission, to touch, to heal, to bless, to prosper, to love and liberate. Anyone who comes into contact with us, anytime, night or day. The temple of light, the temple of light, the temple of light. We are a people with a vision, one with spirit on a mission, to touch, to heal, to bless, to prosper, to love and liberate. Anyone who comes into contact with us, anytime, night or day.
Yay, yay. So now it's time for announcements for Father's Day. And we start by acknowledging our flowers this week that suggest the vim, vigor, and vitality of our men folk, and our a tribute to our fathers by our flower angels, exquisitely arranged by Miss Judith Deere. Thank you, ladies. They are beautiful. Do we have any first-time guests worshiping with us in person this morning? I'm going to just ask you to stand. Oh, I'm not seeing any. Or if you are online, you can just acknowledge yourself in the chat as we behold the Christ in you. And a very special welcome to our guest accompanist, the multi-talented Mr. Vance Gardiner, who is visiting from abroad while he's making a name for himself in the musical world internationally. Let's give Mikel a round of applause. We continue to live stream every Sunday at 9 a.m. and on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. The recording is also available on YouTube. Now, on Monday mornings, Wednesday mornings, and Friday mornings at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can join Rev John Scott for a refreshing and insightful early morning start to your day. And our spiritual enrichment service is on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. on Facebook and on the Zoom platform. This week, our presenter is yours truly, and the link is sent out from our mailing list. Prayer Power, an hour of communion on Thursday evenings at 6 p.m., comes to you via Zoom. The link is sent out on Thursday mornings from our mailing list. And classes, beginning tomorrow, June 20th at 7 p.m., Reverend Michael Record will lead a new Zoom class titled 10 Secrets for Success and Inner Peace. And on Thursdays from 11 to 1 p.m., Reverend John Scott conducts a face-to-face class titled Consciousness is What I Am, based on the book of the same name by Joel Goldsmith. Also on Thursdays at 7 p.m., Reverends Ann Shand and Sonia Davidson lead a Zoom class titled How I Use Truth Excerpt from the writings of Emily Cady. Contribution for classes is 1,200 Jamaican dollars or US $10 for registered members, and 1,600 or US $12 for others. The Thanksgiving service for the life of longtime Temple member Mrs. Monica Marsh will be here at the Temple this Wednesday, June 22nd at 10:30 a.m. And Lifeline, our monthly Lifeline webinar is scheduled for Thursday, June 30th at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Our special guest will be our very own Mrs. Angela Elliott, speaking on sacred service. And prayer support. We continue to respond to all your requests for prayer. A practitioner is available to pray with you immediately following our service every Sunday. On duty this Sunday is practitioner Shima Alcock, and the number to call is 876-289-0907. If you wish to speak to a minister, you can also call the same number, 876-289-0907, Mondays to Fridays from 8 a.m. to 12 midnight. Donation, tithes, and offerings. To financially support our ministry, kindly visit our donate page at donate.templeoflightcsl.org, which has our banking details. Thank you for your generosity and for helping us to be a beacon of light in the world. This concludes our announcement. Kindly join us in the singing of our first hymn, the Lord's Prayer. The words are in your program if you are in the sanctuary and on your screen online. You may be seated. And now, it's time for the encouragement this morning from our pastor, Rev John Scott. He needs no introduction, so I'll just ask Rev John Scott to give us his Father's Day encouragement. Rev John.
Thank you, Vance, and thank you, Michael, for that beautiful, beautiful accompaniment to our singing this morning. Let's give him another big round of applause. So happy Father's Day, all. Those of us who are fathers, grandfathers, godfathers, those of us who are fathers of our thoughts, those mothers who are fathers too. It's such a wonderful thing to celebrate the joy and the givingness and the love of fatherhood. So welcome all those in the sanctuary and those who are with us online this morning. I would like to begin by asking the temple's newest dad, Ramon Pitter, to share with us all how his spiritual practice has impacted his role as a father. Ramon and his beautiful wife, Alea, gifted the family and the world with baby Ari Michelle on April 6th. Perhaps he will let us into the secret of how he manages to even have a spiritual practice while helping Alea and Ari's big sister, Senna, take care of the newest family member. Ramon? Oh, is Senna coming with you? And to this microphone. Hi, Senna.
Like to wish all the fathers happy Father's Day, fathers that are here, the fathers that aren't here. Can everybody hear me? No? I have to speak louder? Oh, there we go. So I have to get a little bit closer here. Better? All right, fantastic. So I thought I would start the morning by telling you a story of the 8-year-old me. And you know, the 8-year-old me would get into negotiations with my mother about doctor visits. Because according to her, I thought that the doctors didn't respect my time. I would ask her questions like, how is it that we set a time and yet we still have to wait when we have made a mutual commitment to when we would meet, right? And so doctor visits required constant convincing in my family, for me to attend at least. And why do I tell you that story? So it gives you a window into the type of person that I was at 8. A little bit intense, highly structured, you know, very much a planner. I would look ahead, and most of those things actually continued into fatherhood. And some of them were actually really good. But one of the things that I want to focus on is, you know, I had very much a need for control, right? Control of the external environment, even at a very, very early age. So if you're lucky in life, you know, you encounter moments that make you realize that that's probably not the way that you should live, right? And also better moments that force you into the realization that, you know, you're not in control of your life. You're not in control of everything. And there's no way for you to influence all the various factors in your life. So I've been fortunate to have many of those moments. And by my most recent experience was probably one of the most profound that I've had throughout my life. And it took me on the spiritual journey, which changed not only who I was as an individual, but especially who I was as a father, and continues to change that. You know, I still remember I was in that bookshop and asking Rev John a lot of questions, and him pointing me to texts. And he said something to me that, you know, I still remember today, which is that, oh, you're on the beginning of your spiritual journey. And I've always remembered that very moment. So what happened and what did I learn? So that's really the main point. Well, for the first time in my life, during, you know, this moment that I told you about, I had a few months to reflect and to read and to ask questions about life. I'd never really stopped, you know, since I was a child. I tell you about that intensity, right? So I never took a couple months off before, and I finally was forced to sit down for months and question and reflect. And what the journey that I went on, what I came out on the other side, was some personal revelations. And in particular, 2 dramatic changes, right? And they were all about what I focused on going forward. So the first is my focus has changed from external control to internal control.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
So no longer, did I try to control the variables outside of my control, but I worked on me. I worked on internal, my faith, how I viewed the world, through meditations and really focusing on the things I consumed and let into my consciousness. I really started to change, how I interacted with the external world. And some beautiful things started happening. Things started to align, not just for me personally, but for my entire family. And the more I focused on internal, is the more things continued to align. So I'm also a fairly analytical person, and so, to the person who's analytical, you might hear these things and say, well, what is he talking about? This is kind of hocus pocus, right? Here's my observation, and I think I'll leave this statement here for everyone, but it requires unpacking probably over years. But I don't believe that we've tapped the surface yet on this human condition and what we are able to manifest through the connection with ourselves and the orchestrator of all things. I think we are fairly just scratching the surface on that. And hopefully I'll continue to develop as I grow and learn throughout the years. So the next focus change that happened was actually the big one for my family, which is I went from a focus of hoping and even, controversially praying to a focus on knowing. And knowing for me is what I would consider the new word for what my faith is. So in the context of my family, I know that all the right people for my daughters are to achieve their purpose in life are either here or will be brought into their lives at the appropriate time. I know that only good would envelop them because that's all we're focused on as a family. We don't care about what is going on externally, right? We don't worry about those things. And the last one is just knowing that if you believe truly that the maker of the cosmos and the giver of all life can do all these things, then surely allowing my children to walk the path that they have already intended for them is really easy. I just have to get out of the way. So here's the best part. By letting go of all of that external control, my life has become easier. Let me stress, not easy. I have 2 young daughters, but easier. And certainly easier than what I did before, which was to spend all my energy trying to control everything around me. And also because I'm no longer worried about the outcome anymore. Remember what I told you before about knowing. I know what the outcome is because I've already visualized it. I can now relax and focus on the journey. And isn't that what life is all about? Thank you very much.
Wow. Thank you, Ramon. You have had the encouragement. Instead of worrying and focusing on what's outside, let us go within and work on ourselves. What a message. And then, as he says, your life becomes easier. Easier doesn't mean that you don't have challenges and things to accomplish and things you want to do, but easier because you stop the fight. As we say in Jamaica, you stop yamming up yourself and going with the flow. There's a lovely lovely image I have of, remember when we used to sing, row, row, row your boat gently down the stream? All you remember it? Let us sing it. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. So you know, friends, if you get into the stream and you put your raft or your canoe in or your rubber tire and you start rowing upstream, you're going to be struggling. So the thing to do is to learn, as Ramon has shared, to go with the flow. And you go with the flow by going within and allowing what he called the creator, the architect, the author of all life, to direct your way and your journey and your path. It's interesting that Ramon started his talk with age 8, because I remember my brother Dennis. I was 8, so he was about 12. Well, not about, he was 12, he was 4 years older than I. We had been given the task on a Father's Day by our mom, because she had no money to buy a gift. So she said, Johnny, you make a card, and Dennis, you write a poem for Daddy. And Dennis, being a very intense young man, I love what Ramon said, maybe we're related, Ramon. Dennis looked up and said to Dad, you know, mothers nourish the newborn with mother's milk. What do fathers give their children? And without hesitation, my father, who was himself a poet of the soul, at least, he never wrote poetry, but he just loved poetry, said, fathers nourish their babies with the milk of human kindness. And in fact, they feed it to their entire families. And I didn't know at the time that he was quoting from Shakespeare's Macbeth, when Lady Macbeth said, she read Macbeth's letter and said, I do fear thou art too full of the milk of human kindness to catch the nearest way. But if a sentence or a phrase ever described somebody, the milk of human kindness described my dad. And so I've titled my encouragement this morning, Fathers Share the Milk of Human Kindness. And my friends, I believe it is a time in human history when more than ever we need the milk of human kindness. We need to follow the master teacher, Jesus' commandment to love one another. And fathers have an important role to play in modeling kindness and consideration for others. Author Washington Irving observed, and I quote, a kind heart is a fountain of gladness, making everything in its vicinity freshen into smiles. A kind heart is a fountain of gladness, making everything in its vicinity freshen into smiles. So important is kindness, my friends, in daily living, that the Talmud, a series of rabbinical writings put together from the 1st through the 6th century of the Common Era, wrote the following: deeds of kindness are equal in weight to all the commandments. Deeds of kindness are equal in weight to all the commandments. But before you can be a chalice for the milk of human kindness and offer it to others, you have to be kind to yourself, don't? A lot of times, we see to the welfare and safety of parents, spouses, children, lovers, friends. Even our pets are pampered sometimes and spoiled beyond words, and yet we neglect ourselves emotionally. Sometimes people come here to me for counseling, and I wonder how they got to the temple because they are running on empty, in fact, sometimes only on fumes. But I see in the Jamaican people that kernel, that seed of kindness and goodness. You know, if your car shuts down on the road, people will still stop who know nothing about modern computerized automobiles and say, it looks like something wrong with it, sir, and offer to help. We have within us that kernel of goodness which needs nurturing
so that it can grow and blossom and bear fruit in our country and, in fact, across the world. And so, when Jesus said, love your neighbor as yourself, I think what he was really saying was, you can only love your neighbor as much as you love yourself. So I want you to begin today to be kind to yourself in thought, word, and deed. Colossians chapter 3, verse 12 advises us, and I quote, clothe yourselves as the elect of God with compassion and kindness. Clothe yourselves as the elect of God with compassion and kindness. So here is your first assignment. Every morning as you are dressing for work or school, or if you're going, not going to work but staying home, and you're just putting on your clothes for the day, affirm, I clothe myself with compassion and kindness. Can we say that together? I clothe myself with compassion and kindness, in a half voice. I clothe myself in compassion and kindness, in a whisper. I clothe myself in compassion and kindness. And now say it in your heart and feel it. The second part of your assignment, my friends, is to share the milk of human kindness this week. No matter what you do or where you live, commit to making kindness a priority in your life this week. Whether you are a student or a busy professional or engaged in a trade or work as a homemaker, make it a daily goal to speak and act kindly. You know, sometimes, even in our own community, we will, as all families do, have disagreements, and teeth and tongue will meet. But you know, you can express your displeasure without becoming acidic and just the vitriol sometimes. Express your displeasure or your disapproval, but with kindness, with love, so that love is always the foundation of what you are communicating, even if it is your displeasure. So the third area for sharing the milk of human kindness I want to leave with you this morning is to freely offer this kindness in the form of gratitude. One of the members of our temple named her townhouse Gratitude. So when you say, where do you live? She says, I live in gratitude. I love that. Let us foster the milk of human kindness and share it with others by expressing gratitude. And start at home. You know, express your gratitude for the person who prepared the meal. Express your gratitude to your children. In fact, even your pets respond to good girl or good boy. I just had to do that with mine when a gift bag that I was going to put somebody's gift in, I left it on the bed, and when I came out of the shower, it was in shreds, you know, and I wasn't at all happy, so we had a stern discussion about it. And you could see the look of pain on her face as she looked up into my eyes. It's irresistible. And when I was finished, you know, I let a little time pass so she wouldn't be confused. She had to know that she had done wrong. And then I said, come here. And she came and I said, sit. And she sat. And I gave her a treat and said, good girl. And you could just see her countenance change. So animals and even plants respond to our words of approbation and gratitude and congratulations. Rabbi Nachman of Breslov, a Hasidic master, wrote, and I quote, it's easy to criticize others and make them feel unwanted. Anyone can do it. What takes effort and skill is picking them up and making them feel good. Let us pick up people and make them feel good this week. My friends, it's a powerful idea that we can choose to be kind. We can absolutely choose to dance with life, to sing it, to share it, and not just with those close to us, but with strangers who pass us on the path. You may never know how life-affirming your kindness has been just to someone who you said a kind word to, who was waiting in the doctor's waiting room or in the queue at the bank or at the supermarket. So make yourself a conduit through which the milk of human kindness flows to nourish the people on your path. Let us say together, I am a clear and grateful conduit through which the milk of human kindness flows. Can we say that? I am a clear and grateful conduit through which the milk of human kindness flows. Together? I am a clear and grateful conduit through which the milk of human kindness flows. I manifest God's love through me today. I manifest God's love through me today. Someone posted this tribute to fathers by an anonymous writer on the Centers for Spiritual Living Ministers group, and I wanted to share it with you today. Listen with your heart. Today is for the fathers. It is for the grandfathers, uncles, brothers, friends, and sons. For the most important man in anyone's life, the one who gave us life. Here's to you, the dads who play endless games of go fish with their kids and always let them win, and those who always played to win every time, thinking that their children would grow stronger through defeat. This is for the fathers who worked in fields and factories, taught in classrooms, or sat in office cubicles 8 long hours a day. Here's to those who performed life-saving surgery and those who drove their truck through long days and nights. Here's to those who loved every minute of their labor and to those who only worked so their families would survive. To the sleepless dads who have waited in silent fear that their babies wouldn't make it through the night or their teenagers survive their first time driving alone. Those who lost children and those who found them in different ways. Here's to tears not shed and hugs not given for fear of appearing weak. Here's to dads who built with hammer and saw and those who wouldn't know how. That's like me. The families who are afraid of, the fathers who are afraid of spiders and in Jamaica lizards, and yet can stay and slay the great dragon of fear in his little ones. The father who tried and those who didn't. The fathers who gave us life and walked away, and those who stayed long past the life of their marriage to give something to the children. Here's to the fathers who loved their children's mother and to those who no longer could. The fathers who hurt because their children have been kept from them, and those who are both father and mother. Stay-at-home dads and stay-away dads, the one we wanted but never knew. The helpless, hurting father and the brave, strong dad. And for all the ways of fatherhood, here's to you. You know, friends, there's a wonderful teaching story about 2 little boys who wanted to make a fool of a wise sage. He was the father of the village elder. And so they captured a young nightingale, and with its tail feathers protruding from one of the little boy's cupped hands, they determined to ask the sage whether the bird was alive or dead. If he said it was dead, the little boy would open his hands and let the bird fly free. And if the sage said it was alive, the captor would crush it and let it fall at the sage's feet. Either way, he would look like a fool in front of the gathered crowd. So when the villagers had gathered to listen to the sage's words of wisdom, the little wise Alex put their plan into action. "Oh, wise one," they intoned, "can you tell what I have in my hand?" The sage replied, "It seems from the tail feathers protruding from your hand that it's a nightingale." "And is it alive or is it dead?" they asked with a smirk. The sage thought for a moment, and as a hush fell upon the gathering, he said with a kindly smile, "It's in your hands, children. It's in your hands." And so, my friends, the choice to go within that Ramon spoke about this morning is in your hands. The choice to say a kind word of love and laughter. Is Mommy scared of lizards? Oh, well, you have to tell her that they are God's little creatures, and she needn't be frightened. Isn't that just wonderful? They can have anything from me, anything. So the choice is, Mommy afraid of lizards, to go within and see them as God's little creatures. It's in your hands. It's truly in your hands. My friends, the issuance of all love, peace, and human kindness comes from that life which smiles upon our world by smiling through our eyes, that uses us to share the milk of human kindness. Think of how impactful our lives can become when we know and live from the truth, sharing the milk of human kindness. And as the sage said so long ago, it's in your hands, children. It's in your hands. Namaste.
Let us show our gratitude by giving Reverend John and Ramon another big round of applause. I just want to thank Ramon again for reminding us to go within and be mindful of what we allow into our consciousness so that we go on that important journey to get to knowing. That's a journey well worth taking. And to Reverend John, we just have to affirm, I clothe myself with compassion and kindness. And let us just embody that, not only this week, but always, so that we become a channel of encouragement and kindness and gratitude. So again, thanks Ramon, thanks Reverend John. And remember, it's in your hands. And now, it's our MG moment. By that I mean the time for our musical genius, whose initials are also MG, Michael Gordon. So Michael.
Temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, thine is the kingdom,
Just be still for a moment and let that. You know, I said to Michael this morning when he arrived, how many awards have you gotten? And he said, I'm running out of space. And you can hear why. Absolutely beautiful, Michael. Thank you, and you have our prayers for your continued success. Wow. The talent that is the gift of this country to the world is just breathtaking. And in that consciousness, let us stand and say together the prayer of Jamaica. It's on a flyer in your program and on your screen. The radiant light of God's love is now flowing through us and from us to everything and everyone it touches. The eternal light of God's love now completely fills, covers, and surrounds our island, Jamaica. The glowing intensity of the light of God's love now interpenetrates and awakens within the hearts and minds of our countrymen and women the truths of life which set free. The light of God's love is growing and glowing in intensity in the hearts and minds of mankind everywhere. Love, health, harmony, goodwill, peace, uprightness, integrity, joy, prosperity, kindness, and our oneness under God are now established, and so it is. And then would you join me as you remain standing and join me in our second hymn, This Is My Father's World.
This is my Father's world, and to my listening ears, all nature sings and round me rings the music of the spheres. This is my Father's world, I rest me in the thought of rocks and trees, of skies and seas, his hand the wonders wrought. This is my Father's world, the birds their carols raise, the morning light, the lily white, declare their Maker's praise. This is my Father's world, he shines in all that's fair. In the rustling grass I hear him pass, he speaks to me everywhere. This is my Father's world, oh let me ne'er forget that though the wrong seems oft so strong, God is the ruler yet. This is my Father's world, why should my heart be low? His nature fair, each one may share, and all his glories know. And in this consciousness, my friends, will you take your love offering in your hand, and if you're home and about to press the donate.templeoflight.csl.org button, then just put your hand on your heart and say with us, lovingly I give, joyfully I receive. Be thou fruitful, increase and multiply. Bless, prosper and enrich everyone whom you touch, and replenish all of my financial affairs. As it is. So it is. And in this consciousness, we bless the gifts of talent, of music and poetry and words
of inspiration that fill this hallowed sanctuary over the years. We bless the consciousness of this community that is a consciousness that seeks to share the milk of human kindness with all whom we encounter, to touch, to heal, to bless, to prosper, to love and liberate all whom we encounter on life's journey. And we go from this place unheeding of the external world. We go within, because we know if we don't go within, then we go without the love, without the grace, without the peace that passeth all human understanding. And from the place within, in the sanctuary of our hearts, in the temple of our lives, we allow ourselves to be a blessing to the world and a joy to our God. We truly give thanks that this is so, and so it is. And let us sing today, Yes, There is Love on Earth. Friends, join me tomorrow morning for a quiet moment in the garden. And on Tuesday evening, Vance will, at 6 p.m., lead the spiritual mind healing service. And then I'll be with you again on Wednesday and Friday. And look forward to having you in our hearts and in our sanctuary and online on Sunday for another celebration of the goodness, the greatness, the beauty, and the joy that is God in our lives. And if this is a blessing, come to class tomorrow evening at 7, on Thursday morning at 11, and Thursday evening at 7 p.m. And we will rev up the goodness so that it fills the earth as the waters fill the sea. Thank you for being here. God loves you, and so do I. Namaste.